Hi everybody, my name is Blythe Baird. I wanted to make this video because I recently was asked to write a blog post for the Emily program about some tips that helped me during my recovery process from my eating disorder. The post was just recently picked up by To Write Love on Her Arms, which I love. You guys should go check out their website and the Emily program, all super good. But yeah, I wanted to make this video in case anybody who's subscribed to me is struggling right now and looking for some tips on how to commit yourself to recovery. I'm not an expert, and I'm not saying that any or all of these tips will work for you. These are just kind of some things that helped me in my journey that I hope you can also find helpful, but everybody's is so different. Anyway, so the first tip that I have is personifying my body is something that really helped me. Not long ago, a question bubbled to the surface of my brain, and that question was, if my body could speak, would she forgive me? Though it sounds kind of weird, I was wildly helped by starting to think of my body as a being separated from myself. This mindset made it easier for me to be more gentle and forgiving with my body, because we're sadly, I think, more often willing to be unkind to ourselves than we are to someone else. So I began to experience this newfound guilt for putting my body through the abuse of my eating disorder, because what did my poor, loyal body do to deserve such violence? And the answer is nothing. And the same is true for you too. Your sweet body did nothing to deserve to endure the wrath of you. The second thing that really helped me was setting attainable and realistic goals. When I was trying to quit smoking, I called my dad, who's an ex-smoker, and I asked him for advice. And he was like, don't tell yourself you're never going to smoke another cigarette again. Just tell yourself you're not going to smoke a cigarette today, and eventually the todays will start to add up. So I applied a lot of that same logic to my recovery process. I found that if I set the goal of never skipping a meal again, then I inevitably failed because it was just too lofty of a goal to even fathom. However, when I started telling myself that I wasn't going to starve myself that day, each day became a more digestible mini task. The third thing that really helped me in my recovery was considering that healing is political. Part of my main motivation to attempt to divorce myself from my eating disorder came from the knowledge that one of my greatest goals in this life is to help raise future generations of strong and confident, empowered young women. And how can I set a positive example for youth if I'm too preoccupied with starving myself? There's this poem called Anna by my mentor, Sierra Mulder, and it has a line that says, to the mothers of Hollywood, the red carpet and the 10 pounds the camera adds, how will your daughter ever learn to love her body if she's forced to watch you wring out yours? And that line and that poem really deeply spoke to me. And in the mirror, when I'm struggling, even now, some days I still remind myself, Blythe, you cannot change the world on an empty stomach. The fourth thing that really helped me was remembering and reminding myself that fat and skinny are neither insults nor compliments. For so long, I was petrified to attempt recovery because I was terrified of getting fat again due to my history with childhood obesity and getting bullied, and I just internalized this false and detrimental idea that skinny was the highest compliment one could receive. I also internalized the equally untrue and detrimental idea that fat is an insult. I now understand that fat and skinny are nothing more than physical observations. There's no value of personal worth attached to either of them. Once I was able to stop fearing fatness, I think I was able to, for the most part, stop putting thinness on such a pedestal. The last thing that really helped me was picturing myself as a child. When I asked my mentor, Sierra, whose poem I mentioned earlier, when I asked her for help with navigating this angry, belittling voice that had set up camp in my skull because of my anxiety more recently, she invited me to picture myself as a child. And she said, think of yourself in elementary school. Think of what your favorite color was or your favorite book. Think of what holiday you were most excited for. Think of what brought you joy. And I thought of that little girl that I used to be. She was dressed head to toe in neon lime green, cupping the air with her hands in the backyard after dark, trying to catch a firefly. In my recovery, even now, it is helpful to think of this little girl, how she still lives on in an era inside of me. When I'm tempted to go back to my old habits, I think of the life this precious little girl deserves to live. I try to understand that her and I are the same person. Doing so makes it easier for me to treat my current self with the same tenderness and softness that I am willing to treat my younger self with. Thank you guys so much for listening. Best of luck to all of you in your recovery, and I'm excited to get used to this YouTube thing and make more videos. Mwah! Talk to you soon. Bye.